It is my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Honorable Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, to deliver special remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Madam Chair, Madam Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to you all. It is my pleasure to join the 80th annual session of UNESCAP. I thank Madam Executive Secretary for her invitation. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's UN membership. We continue to be guided by the vision of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in forging a value-driving partnership with the UN. Our multidimensional engagements with UNESCAP remain crucial to our pursuit of regional connectivity, integration, and prosperity. Madam Chair, Bangladesh is now considered a role model for social development, a regional stability provider, and an emerging regional connectivity hub. Our government has mainstreamed the Sustainable Development Goals into our national development strategies. We consider the 2030 Agenda to be a blueprint for supporting our smooth and sustainable graduation from UN LDC status by 2026. Bangladesh is now provides critical links to the Trans-Asian Highway and Railway network. Our physical and digital infrastructure and being developed to foster regional trade and connectivity. We offer access to the Bay of Bengal for landlocked territories in our neighborhood. We stand ready to work together with all regional partners through mutual understanding and cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Asia-Pacific region must stand united against our common enemies of poverty and hunger. In Bangladesh, we have reduced poverty from 41.51% to 18.7% between 2006 and 2022. We have reduced extreme poverty from 25.1% to 5.6% during the same period. We remain confident about eradicating extreme poverty by 2030. We have made notable progress on food security with focused intervention on maternal and child nutrition. We also reduced the maternal and child, their mortality because we support them free of cost medicine, and also sometimes those who are very poor, we provide food free of cost. Our current priority is to address inequalities through income distribution, asset ownership, and social protection. Because I always give importance to our younger generation, especially children. And newborn children also, we always assist to the mother-to-be. And that way we reduce the child and mother mortality very quickly. And it will continue. Our government has taken concrete initiatives to promote quality, inclusive, and transformative education. We have attained near universal enrollment and gender parity in schools through cash transfers, school meals, free textbook distribution. Our achievements in reducing infant, child, and maternal mortality stands out in the South Asian context. Building on our community-based health service system, we are now working on attaining universal health coverage by 2030. Madam Chair, the vibrant social mobility of our women and girls is reflected in our regional ranking and reducing gender gaps. Our wide-ranging social security measures serve the most vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, the elderly, and insolvent widows. We have recently launched a universal pension scheme to cover both formal and informal sectors. Our achievements in financial inclusion has been a game changer for the rural economy. We offer targeted policy and fiscal support to micro, small, and medium enterprises for skill development and employment creation. Under my flagship Ashran project, we have been able to accommodate more than 4 million landless and homeless people in free housing. All the house and land we are providing them, it is free of cost. Our government has kept its commitment to ensure safe drinking water, improved sanitation, electricity access, and internet coverage across the country. We have set up hundreds of digital centers to bring public services to our people's doorstep. We are now aiming to build a knowledge-based smart nation by 2041 under the banner of Smart Bangladesh. Madam Chair, much of our development gains are affected by climate impacts. As a low-lying delta, Bangladesh has no option but to invest heavily in climate resilience. Bangladesh is already recognized as a global leader in climate adaptation. We are happy to share our traditional and innovative solutions with other vulnerable countries. We urge developed and emerging economies in the region to raise their time-bound emission reduction targets. For economies in transition, it is important to have a just energy transition. In Bangladesh, we have working a long-term energy security with a sound mix of clean and renewable energy. We shall continue to do our part in pursuing a circular and low-carbon economic growth pathway. We need increased and easy access to financing and technology from both the public and private sectors. I invite UNESCAP to help build the capacity of climate vulnerable countries to mobilize adequate international climate financing. Distinguished audience, the Asia-Pacific region must put up a united front in tackling the climate crisis. biodiversity loss, and transboundary pollution. We need to push for ambitious climate financing goals beyond 2025 at COP29. We need to cooperate on cross-border water management and air quality improvement. We must all prepare for growing extreme weather events. Our region can look into Bangladesh's experience in disaster risk reduction. We appreciate UNESCAP's support in improving our early warning capabilities. We must prepare ourselves better to deal with future pandemics and other health emergencies. We should scale up collaboration in medical research, quality medicines, and vaccine production. A reliable regional supply chain is needed for essential commodities. Bangladesh stands ready to contribute by positioning itself as a preferred investment destination for the region. I invite Asia-Pacific countries to take advantage of the 100 special economic zones we are setting up. Madam Chair, the preconditions for sustainable development is lasting peace and security. We must settle regional disputes and tension through dialogue. Our mutual respect for national sovereignty and territorial integrity must remain paramount. We must speak out against all forms of aggression and atrocities and say no to war. Bangladesh stands behind the UN Secretary General's new agenda for peace. Distinguished friends, I have personally witnessed the tragedy of war during our independence in 1971. In 1971, my father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he declared the independence. After that, he was arrested. The occupied army also arrested my mother, my two brothers, my sister, myself. They occupied our home, destroyed it, looted, and they put us in an abandoned house. There was no furniture, no security, no food arrangement, nothing. Yes, they provided just only one blanket for whole family. I was pregnant that time. My younger brother was only 6 years old. For whole day and night up to next day, we didn't receive any food or anything. Till we liberate our country, we were under that custody. My son was born in captivity. They allowed me to go to hospital, but the day my son was born, till next afternoon, they didn't provide me any food or any assistance. So, we know how our people suffered. There was a genocide. Many people took shelter in the neighboring countries. But we won the war. Then, 1975, 15th August, I lost my family. I have suffered the trauma of the brutal assassination of my father, mother, my 3 brothers, my 2 sisters-in-law, and other relatives. My sister and I was abroad that time. I was in Germany. We could not come back to our country because military dictator took over power and declared martial law, and they prevented us to come back to my country. We have to live abroad as a refugee for 6 years. My sister was very young that time. She was only 16 or 17 years old. Well, after 6 years, I was able to return home. I started struggling to establish democracy in our country, to establish people's rights, to establish people's economic emancipation. But my journey was not that easy. Several times I was arrested or I faced attempt on me. 2004, 21st August, I was holding a rally against terrorism. But that rally was under attack, grenade attack in a broad daylight. They threw 13 Ardes grenade. Every time I survived, due to my party, Bangladesh Awam League, the workers, they created Human Shield. They saved my life, but they sacrificed their life, many of them. On that day, 21 of our party leaders were killed, including 4 women leaders. When I returned home, I had no right to ask for justice. My sister and I have long been denied justice due to the indemnity given to the self-confessed killers by military dictator. So, our hearts reached out to unnecessary human suffering anywhere in the world. Well, after a long struggle, I was able to come back to power. Then, second time, I came back to power in 1996. Till 2001, I was there. Then again, 2008 election I won, and 2009 I was able to come back to power with the people's support. There are many conspiracies, but I enjoy people's love, affection, and understanding and support. That's my only strength. So, in August 2007, when thousands of Rohingya men or women and children from Myanmar fled to Bangladesh, we offered them temporary shelter. It was also inspired by my sister. She said, look what happened in 1971, the way our people suffered. They faced genocide. So these people are suffering. So we must open our door and give them shelter. Both of us, we went to Cox's Bazar, we see them, we allowed them to come and take shelter. Excellencies, brothers and sisters, with an ever-growing population, this has now become one of the largest humanitarian situations in the world. In the backdrop of ongoing armed conflicts in Myanmar, the Rohingya repatriation process is also getting delayed. This is creating serious security risks within and beyond our territories. I take this opportunity to call upon the Asia-Pacific region, especially ASEAN, to play a proactive role in resolving the volatile situation in Myanmar. We must ensure that the Rohingyas can go back home in safety and dignity, and the earliest possible. The origin of their crisis has been in Myanmar, and its solution also lies with Myanmar. As long as the solution remains out of reach, all our efforts at regional connectivity, integration, and prosperity will continue to be marked by a missing puzzle. Let us redouble our efforts to put the puzzle back in the place. And side by side, I also want to mention the war is going on. Genocide is going on in Palestine. It must be stopped. War cannot give any solution, only loss of life. Children, women are the worst sufferers. Younger generation, they lost their life. Then why war? Wherever I go, I raise my voice because I face both experience, the wartime and as a refugee. So, please, I call upon the world leaders to stop the war, the Russia-Ukraine war, then now Israel, Iran, or Palestine. Why Palestine people should not get their right? So we must raise our voice. After returning home, I established democracy in my country. And because democracy and continuous stability is there, and that's why I could make that much progress for our people. I wanted to do more, but because of this war and conflict, and then sanction, counter-sanction, inflation, all these reasons, I could go further. But I am trying my best to give our people more better life. So please raise your voice against any war. We don't want any war. In my country, I had insurgency activities for 2 decades. I solved it bilaterally only with those people I just discussed. 1,800 armed cadres surrendered their arms to me. That way I restored peace in my own country. So, through discussion, I think any problem can be solved. But we must focus on poverty reduction and ensure these people, those who are still suffering, for their economic emancipation. This is my humble call upon the world leaders, people, and also developed country. I thank you very much, Madam Chair, for giving me this opportunity to talk. I'm sorry I have to mention some of my... Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those very inspiring remarks